Hi, my name is Anita Opara. I am a podcast host and the founder of Unkem Creatives, a podcast service company, and you're listening to Into the Podverse.
Innovations, challenges, and opportunities in podcasting. This is Into the Podverse. I'm Tony Doe. Welcome to the show. Tell us the origin story. What made you start the African Authors podcast and why literature as your first beat?
I love books. I love books a lot. And then I realized that there are no podcasts out there centering African authors specifically, right? There are podcasts that do book reviews. There are podcasts that, do other stuff regarding to books. But there are no podcasts that invite these authors to come and talk about the stories and the processes behind the books they write. So I figured, if no one else is doing it, I can do it. And then I did.
What was the first episode you produced that made you feel this show matters?
From the very first go, even without producing any episode, I knew it mattered, right? Because I had, did a couple of research about the writing space in Nigeria. And then on Twitter, I saw authors talk about how, with traditional publishing and all of that, the problems associated with that. And I figured, okay, perhaps this could be another avenue for authors to market their work, right? Hopefully sometime in the future, sometime near, we get to collaborate with international businesses, right? To shed more light on our authors. But for now, I believe the work I do matters. I believe the show matters. I believe it matters a lot. Not just based off of the fact that I started it, but I've had feedbacks from authors tell me, oh, what you're doing is amazing. Please keep going. We appreciate you and all of that. So it matters. The show matters.
How would you describe the show's mission in one sentence? No marketing speak, just the truth.
I'd say the show mission is to spotlight African authors. Simple and short. Spotlight African authors. We have a lot of brilliant authors here in Africa. I've not been to other parts of Africa yet, but I've read books from authors outside Nigeria. We have a lot of brilliant authors. The world needs to know about them. The world needs to know about the work they do, right? So the African Authors Podcast, the goal of it, the mission of it is to spotlight African authors in the best way possible.
Your episodes mix interviews and book reviews. Walk me through how you choose which authors and books to feature.
Well, when it comes to choosing authors and books, I don't choose a book, I choose the author. And the only criteria to being on the podcast is being an African and having a published work or a soon-to-be published work. So that's the only criteria. Are you an African? Yes. Do you have a published work or a soon-to-be published work? Yes. Please, we would like to have you on the podcast.
You often probe the deep story behind a book. What does deep mean to you in the context of African writing?
Deep story. When I talk about deep story, right, I feel like authors leave pieces and parts of themselves in their books. There has to be some part of the book that relates to a personal story of theirs. So the goal is to have them talk about these parts of themselves that influenced the idea of writing that book. That's what the deep story means.
Give us an example of a guest who surprised you, not just with their story, but with what their work revealed about a place, idea, or generation.
I've been surprised by every guest. With Adesua, the author of Ginika Bridesmaid, the first time we had a conversation, she was very specific about, not calling her Ma, and calling her Adesua. She's Nigerian. So she is the first, she's the first female a Nigerian female telling me to not, that is older than I am, telling me to not call her ma, but address her by her name. I mean, culture-wise, that shocked me, right? I've had men in professional settings say, "Oh, do not call me by do not call me sir, right? Call me by my first name." But with her, it was a shock. So that's one. And then Aremo Gemini, his name is Yusuf Balogun, but he goes by the moniker Aremo Gemini. I love the fact that he was vulnerable about grief, about things that affect women. I mean, coming from a male's perspective, things that affect women, widows, mothers who have lost their children. I was surprised. And then Oluwabumi Adedamola, I hope I got her name correctly. We had to talk about postpartum psychosis. I mean, I'm coming from a nursing background and having to see disease conditions like this that are not usually mainstream being talked about or written about in books. Wow, I was surprised. So every author we've had on the podcast have had so many amazing things to share that surprised me from the get-go. We've had Peter Omuvwe. I'm very sorry, Peter, if you're listening to this episode. He talked about, he's the author of No Nigerian Will Make Heaven. And I remember when that book came out, people were like, "What? I'll make heaven in Jesus' name," and all of that. Like, they were not even listening or trying to see things from his own perspective. That surprised me as well. And then we've had Esther Okuru, who talked about the grief of losing her husband. That surprised, like the strength surprised me. And then we've had Aiwanoshe Odafen, the author of We Were Girls Once, on the podcast. Oh my God, every author, I'm surprised by them, their strength. And one thing that shocked me is that they have lives outside being authors. We've had investment bankers, we've had scientists on the podcast, and they are authors. Like, how do they combine being an author and having this interesting, what's the word I'm looking for, careers? It's crazy. Well, yeah, that surprised me.
Walk me through your research process for an episode, from first contact to final edit. What is a non-negotiable?
My research process for an episode is easy. I first of all go scouting for the author on social media, right? So before there was a process I used before, start making changes to them. I would do my own research, identify the author, go get their bio from their website if they have any, go on YouTube to identify if they've done any interviews before then. And then I realized, okay, in what ways can the authors also contribute to the research process, right? So I would usually ask them to, send a bio of their work, which will help us in writing the interview questions, right? And then before then, I would, if it's possible to get through to them, say via their email or a DM, I would introduce myself. My name is Anita, and I'm the host of this podcast. This is the goal of the podcast, and it will be an honor to have you on the podcast. Here is a link to the podcast. Listen to it. Let me know if it's up your alley or if it's up your vibe, and if you'd like to be on the podcast. So far, we've had no one has ever said no explicitly, right? It's either, okay, I'm busy, let's pick this up in the next 3 months or in the next 1 month, or okay, could you please speak to my my agent, right? But that's basically it. So I identify the author first before doing any research. So the author guides the research process, right? And then we identify what date we want to record. We record. The audio editor, our podcast editor takes it up, edits the podcast. Shout out to Danny, by the way. Hi, Danny. Edits the podcast, and we create the graphic design for social media marketing. And yeah, we inform the author, the episode with you, it's live. Please share, tag us on your social media platforms. We'll be happy to collaborate and all of that. So it's a straightforward process. No biggie.
Many listeners want good questions. What's your single best technique for turning a surface answer into a revealing story?
Oof. My single best technique for turning a surface answer into a revealing story is to ask why. Always keep the questions open-ended, right? No close-ended questions unless it's absolutely important, right? So it's always keep the questions open-ended. And if I don't feel, because I'm a curious person, right? I like to dig deep. If I don't feel comfortable or satisfied with an answer, I'll ask why. And I'll keep asking why. I'll keep asking why until there is no why to ask. Or until the author is no longer comfortable. Because again, it's about them. I need to make the scene, the environment, and the atmosphere as comfortable as possible for them.
Have you ever held back a question because of cultural sensitivity or author safety? How did you navigate that?
Oof, not really. I always ask my questions regardless of culture. If I feel it's going to be insensitive of me, instead of not asking, because again, it's my feelings, it's not fact, I'll still ask you and then apologize. Oh, I apologize if this is insensitive. What do you think about this? Because your answer is going to help me know how to manage anybody I know coming from your culture next time. I'm no longer going to be ignorant of it. So I don't hold back questions. If I have a question, I ask questions like a child. Like I just blot it out. If I see, oh, I've annoyed you, I've pissed you off, I would apologize straight away, because the goal is not to annoy you. The goal is to be knowledgeable about a certain thing, which will help me be better prepared next time.
When an author's memoir reveals trauma, what's your duty as host? To dig, protect, or both?
Oof. When an author's memoir reveals trauma, I dig. I try to know, okay, where you're coming from. I just recorded a podcast with George Gathiani from Kenya. And then when I asked him a question about his childhood, and he mentioned, if he tells me about it, who's going to buy his memoir? And then I realized, okay, it's best, since his memoir is centered around this, it's best not to ask him questions about it. So in situations like that, I don't dig deep. Again, I'm being led by the author. If the author is open or comfortable opening up to me, why not? But I'm going to ask. I will always ask.
Favorite question you ask every author and why it works?
What person, depending on who the author is, they would like to work with, or I take that back. What book they wish they've written, right? And I see... most of our recording is usually audio, but I believe you can decipher certain information or body language from people regardless of the recording format. So in my head, I see their eyes light up, right? And then they're able to say, oh, I wish I wrote this book. I wish I wrote this book. The last author we had mentioned Harry Potter, that he wished he wrote Harry Potter, right? And basically, the reason is because of how much. I think it's 4.3 billion, or is it million, the book have sold worldwide. So yeah, I think that's my favorite question to ask authors.
Encame Creatives packages the show and offers services. Describe the core services you sell and the problem each one solves.
The core service we offer and sell at Encame Creatives is buying back time. I say buying back time because when you talk about the process when it comes to creating a quality podcast, you are basically spending time. You're spending time, you're spending energy, you're spending resources, whether it has to do with your knowledge and all of that. So being able to tell our guests, or our clients rather, you don't have to worry about script writing. You don't have to worry about guest outreach. You don't have to worry about audio editing. You don't have to worry about podcast management. All you have to do is show up and record, because everything has been made available for you. Is amazing, because I know the time they would spend doing the script writing, audio editing, guest outreach and all of that, they would invest it in, their asking capabilities or their host capabilities, or maybe something else that brings them joy. Maybe spend time with family or friends, or get to spend an extra hour at work, or whatever it is that brings them joy. So I think that's the core service we offer, not the script writing and audio editing and all of that. The fact that we are able to give our clients the ability to buy back their time is the service we offer.
How do you price attention? That is, how do you decide what a client needs versus what they think they need?
Is in asking questions, communication really, because most times the client will tell you, oh, this is what I need. And then when you probe and ask questions, you realize, oh, they need something else. So it's in asking questions. That's how I decide. I try as much as possible not to decide for the clients. I let them make the decision. And I always, whenever they say they need something, I always repeat it, right? Okay, to the best of my capabilities, right? To be sure that you and I are on the same page. This is what you say you need, right? And they're able to say, oh, no, that's not it. Oh, yes, that's what I mean, right? So the trick is in asking questions, always asking questions. Oh, you mentioned you needed audio editing and all of that. Keep asking questions.
Walk me through a typical client engagement, onboarding, deliverables, timelines, and the moment you hand over the first final audio.
Okay, a typical client engagement. So most of the clients we've had are through cold outreach. So I would reach out to them on LinkedIn or Twitter or via email, depending on where I see their content, whether it's on Spotify or on YouTube. And then I'll go through the episode, identify what it is about the episode that I like, which is going to help me in, serve as a conversation starter. And then I'll tell them, okay, these are the gaps I'm seeing in your podcast. Do you need help with this? And these gaps, because they are here, look at what you're leaving on the table. Yeah, right? You're leaving listeners on the table. Or this is how best you can optimize your podcast. And then I would lead with, do you need help with this? Please let me know. Some of them would say yes, some would ignore your message, some would reply to your message 1 month after, regardless, right? So once a client says, once they're on board, I send an invite so we can have an onboarding call to better understand what it is they need. Because again, you could be wrong. So that's where the communication comes in, always asking questions. And then once we identify what exactly it is they need and we've confirmed that this is the service we are able to offer, we identify the deliverables and the timelines. And then we schedule for clients that typically need us to reach out to their guests. We do the guest outreach, coordinate the administrative support when it comes to scheduling the recording session. Once it is done, we ship off to the audio editor. Again, shout out to Danny. He edits the podcast and we tell the client, oh, your podcast is ready. We are ready to publish it on the major podcast hosting platforms and all of that. And then, that's it. But so far, it's been great reviews from our clients.
A lot of creators can't keep up. What systems or simple automations do you build to prevent pod fade for your clients?
I don't think any of the clients we've had have had pod fade. We've had clients who had pod fade, and then when we came into the picture, the pod fade disappeared because we were able to pick up things that led to this pod fade and handled it beautifully. So with us, our clients don't have to deal with pod fade because we are the ones handling everything. Like I said, all they literally have to do is show up, right? Show up because the script is already prepared for you. We've already created a short bio of the guest and why it is important they should be on the podcast. So our clients, I'm yet to meet a client who has experienced pod fade while working with us.
Growing a service business is different from growing a show. What's been the hardest leadership lesson since founding Nkem Creatives?
I realized earlier on that I might be the first of 5 siblings, but I suck at leading. Because in my head, I figured if you're hired for something, just do it. Your goal should be to do it, to find the best way possible to make your role great. So if you are hired as a social media manager, right, your goal should be to find the best way possible to manage the social media pages. I shouldn't have to tell you, okay, we should try this, we should do this. It shouldn't be lazy work. So when things like that happen, when I have to tell you over and over again that you should do something, I just go tired. I just go mute. I find out that I end up doing the work myself. So I think that's the leadership, the hardest leadership lesson I've learned since founding in Kern Creatives. The fact that as a leader, I have to communicate explicitly. There are moments feelings are going to be hot. My goal is not to manage people's feelings. My goal is to ensure that expectations, both my expectations of them as the business and their expectations of me as the business, are met. So communication. You have to drill it. I've also understood that there are people that work well when you guide them, and there are people that want to be left alone to do their job, and they'll do it excellently well. So the ability to identify, okay, what's the best leadership style for this person, and knowing that it's different from leading the other person, and putting it together, because one leadership style will not work for everybody, and one leadership style will not work all the time. There are times you have to be authoritative, there are times you have to be laissez-faire and all of that. There are times you have to be inspirational or transformational and all of that. But the biggest leadership lesson is communication, learning to communicate. They can't read my mind, so I have to communicate my expectations and encourage them as well to communicate their expectations of me.
Beyond downloads, what audience signal tells you an episode landed?
I think it's the comment section, although that has been removed from Spotify, but it used to be the comment section. Yeah, so that's what tells me or signals to me that an episode has landed.
Have any authors reported measurable book sales or readership growth after appearing?
No, not yet. We are yet to have authors report measurable book sales or readership growth after appearing. Not yet, but I see that happening in no distant future, right? So, but for now, not yet.
You work with producers and a small team. What do you hire for? Taste, technical skill, or hustle?
At first, right, I used to look at if I like the person, right? If I like to work with the person. And then that failed. That hiring process failed. And then I started looking at technical skill. Obviously, if you're going to be hired for a position, you have to have an idea of what you're coming to do, right? So technical skill one. And then right now, what I look out for is curiosity. Yeah. Curiosity. There are people that, I don't know it, but are you willing to learn? Because I believe you can learn for most jobs, aside when it comes to medicine and all of that. For most jobs, you can learn on the job. Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to put in the effort without excuses? I've had people give excuses. I'm like, my God, this is not, this is not encouraging at all, right? This is not encouraging at all. So I look out for curiosity, the teachability, ability to learn, right? So that's what I look out for.
What's the single practice that improved your interviewing quickest?
The single practice that improved my interviewing quickest is I read this book by John King. Is it John King? I don't think I'm getting the first name right, but something King, right? He used to work on radio, and then moved to having a show, his own show. I believe he's late now. So I read this book by him, How to Talk to Anyone, Anywhere, and Anyhow. So I think that's what really improved my interview skills. And also, I have this natural curiosity. So I observe that people like to talk about themselves. So if I'm able to make them talk about themselves, obviously they'll want to talk, right? So yeah, reading books, like I said, and then always asking why.
Tell us about an episode that didn't go as planned. What went wrong and what did it teach you?
The first episode, or I think up until this time or today, the episode that didn't go as planned was the episode with an author who lives in Kenya, right? Our network kept getting in the way. It was horrible. Oh God, I was frustrated, but at the end of the day, it worked out well. So that was the episode that didn't go as well, the network problem. And I believe that period was when MTN was having a downtime. So what it taught me was always to have a backup plan, right? Have a backup plan, because I believe that said negative, it showed a negative precedent, I believe, on the author's part. Like when they are looking at us like, Nigeria, having network issues, that kind of a thing. But maybe that's just me thinking out loud. Or maybe that's just my opinion.
If you could rewind and give your starting self one tactical piece of advice about running a literary podcast, what would it be?
One advice I would, if I'm to do it again, if I'm to start again, one advice I would give myself is to not waste time. I wasted a lot of time starting because, who is going to even listen to this? I wasted a lot of time. I should have started, this podcast should have gone live December last year, but we started publishing in March this year, right? Because I was scared. Initially, I had looked out for people that would like to be on the pod, that would like to host the authors. So I would serve as a middleman, get the authors, channel them to podcasts with listeners, right? Instead of starting from scratch. And then there were a lot of disappointments. Again, I think this is the best time to say a big thank you to Queen Rafi, right? Queen Rafi was, oh God have mercy. I believe she was the only one that said yes to us when we were looking for podcasts to host the authors we had in mind, right? So a big shout out to Queen Rafi. Queen Rafi, I am super grateful, internally grateful. Till next year, till the end of time, so grateful. I don't think I'll ever forget what you did for us. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you.
What does it mean for African literature to be told by Africans in the audio age? And why does that matter now?
I mean, nobody can tell our stories better than us, right? The West can try their best to the best of their abilities, but they can only tell our stories based off of what they've read, right? They don't know what it means to be us. The same way we don't know what it means to be them, right? So the best people to talk about any kind of story are the people who are living and breathing those experiences. It's like me going to talk about Asian stories. I don't know what it means, what it looks like to be an Asian, to live, eat, act, walk like them, to the stereotypes that comes with being Asian, right? The same way an Asian doesn't know what it means or feels like to be African, to be Nigerian, right? So what it means for me is that we are doing our own part, no matter how small, to get our stories out there. Stories that are authentic, stories that are being said that are being told by us, people that are living this experience, like, right? I don't think anybody in America or any 50-year-old widow in America will understand what it means to lose your husband, and then your husband's brothers are coming to chase you out of the home you've built with your husband and spent years nurturing your children in, and his brothers are trying to drag or his properties with you and all of that. I believe there are laws in place to protect people like that. But here in Africa, you would see, no matter how educated someone is, right, you see people trying to move crazy, right? We've had authors on the podcast talk about like their mothers who experienced things like this, right? Being treated horribly because they lost their husband. So it's very important we as Africans tell these stories. We are looking forward to expanding into the video format, but right now, what can we do? What do we have now? And audio is available, is readily available. So we have to use what we have now to do what we can do, then expand.
How does podcasting change the way we read and interpret books? Is audio criticism its own art form?
I think you can't compare audio and video format when it comes to podcasting. They all serve their purpose, right? And I'm going to speak specifically like about my experience, right? I could watch a 3 hours video because I'm interested in the information I'm going to glean from that video. I could listen, or I can listen to a 4 hours podcast, audio podcast, or 3 hours of audio podcast because I'm interested in the value I'm going to get from it. So I feel like it's a thing of value, right? Is the listener aligned with what you are giving to him or her? If yes, obviously they're going to listen to it. So the criticism, audio podcast, I don't think people should be allowed to do what they want, right? But yeah, people should be allowed to do what they want. I hope I answered this question correctly. But yeah.
As a founder and creative, What does legacy look like to you for both the show and Nkem Creatives?
I hope for the show, the African Authors Podcast, I look forward to a time where authors are being recognized more, right, for their brilliance, right? They don't have to struggle to, go through the traditional publishing brouhaha and all of that. A time where indie publishers, authors who publish independently, gets recognized, right? Where they get to have opportunities based off of the fact that they appeared on the African Authors Podcast with the Western world, not just the Western world, with people in Asia, Europe, and all of that, right? So my goal, my legacy for the African Authors Podcast is to see opportunities abound for African authors because they were or are on the podcast. So that's my legacy for it. And then for Nkem Creatives is to be at the forefront of podcasting when it comes to anything podcasting in Africa, right? I'm not looking to dominate just Nigeria. Our goal is to dominate Africa as a whole, not just as a podcast company. I look forward to a time where we've expanded into being a media company, right? We're not just doing podcasts as just one form of, media, right? We're also going into movies, documentaries, which we've started on the side, by the way. But yeah, growing, building a conglomerate of awesome, a media company that tells authentic stories, right? Stories that would otherwise be forgotten, but we have a way of preserving it for generations to come, right? Yeah.
If listeners take only one thing from your episodes, what should it be?
Have audacity. Every author that have been on the African Authors Podcast, they were there because of audacity. And when I say audacity, is the ability, ask questions. Even if you think someone is going to say no, ask them regardless. Our first 10 authors, I believe, that came on the podcast were because of I reached out to book influencers. Shout out to Uche, Ezudu, and Aminat Adebanjo. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. So awesome, right? Because I reached out to these amazing women and they decided to host the podcast, and because they already had existing relationships with these authors, they were able to convince them to get on the podcast, right? So I didn't think of doing it myself, right? I had to look for people that could open the door for me to where I was going, right? So have audacity. If there is anything you have in mind, any goal you have in mind to execute, have audacity to execute it, and execute it as quickly as possible. Fail fast, fail quickly, learn from it and keep going, right? Have audacity. So that's one thing.
Where can authors and organizations find you? And what's the first thing they should say when they reach out?
So you can find me on LinkedIn and Twitter, right, at Anita Opara on LinkedIn and Chimwendum on Twitter. That is ChimWendum, Chimwendum on Twitter. But if you're looking to connect with us as Nkem Creatives, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, or you can send us an email at nkemcreatives@gmail.com. And if one thing, to let me know that you listen to this episode is to say into the podverse, right? So begin your conversation with into the podverse and then say what you have to say. And then I know you listen to this episode. Yeah. So thank you.
I hope today's episode sparked some ideas, tackled a challenge, or opened your eyes to a new opportunity. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Your support helps keep this conversation going. And if you've got thoughts or stories of your own, then please reach out to me at Tonido Media on social media. I'd love to hear them. Until next time, keep innovating, growing, and chasing those opportunities. Chat again soon.